All right, guys. Today we're talking about the importance of personalization in SMS. I know you guys want more SMS content. I brought in someone that's doing SMS specifically for e-commerce. Hey, Matt, how are you?
I'm very fine, man. Chase, thanks for having me. How are you?
Dude, I'm doing well, thank you. I've got a lot of demand on my side for SMS content, and I think we were talking before this about the importance of it more so than you mentioned in email on SMS, like making sure that you're leveraging personalization is so key. So I'm gonna kick it off to you, dude. Let's dive in.
Yeah. So first thing is really like you have to imagine that people are used to get texts from their family and friends on the phone, right? It's a very private channel. And the first thing you have to really think about is that your brand has to really fit in that personal environment. And how we achieve this is basically really through segmentation and personalization. And personalization really starts off with something small. For example, when they sign up, right? If you promote your SMS with, for example, through your Instagram story, something small saying like, hey, thanks for your swipe up. Here is whatever incentive you got, really makes a difference right from the beginning on, right? The second thing is really like with segmentations, and there we see a lot of success in upselling clients through SMS is we tag them based on what product they exactly bought. So for example, we have a jewelry client, and if they bought like a necklace and we have another necklace or earrings or whatever fits really good to that product they already bought, we will send out a text like 30 days later saying, hey, we think this necklace would be a beautiful addition to your last order. Here's the link. And then we also send like an image, for example, of the two necklaces or necklace with earrings together. So the customer basically sees exactly how it would look like if they buy it right now.
Awesome. Sorry, I was on mute. But so, all right, so that's a little bit on the personalization side. What are the platforms that you're using? Like, what are you using with your clients predominantly? Is it this platform, that platform? Is it a couple platforms?
Yeah, we are using Via Customers for all of our clients. It's a really, really great platform, and I recommend it to everyone. Basically.
Awesome. And then with SMS, like, what's the cadence that you found on campaigns? Like, are you sending one campaign a week, multiple campaigns per week, a few a month? Like, what's the right cadence?
So we always start with one SMS, like one campaign per week, and bump it slowly up. And we see like the sweet spot right now is 2 to 3 because we always want to have an eye on churn. So so we don't want to spam people basically. But that's really good. If you have the right segments, you can send 2 to 3 SMS campaigns per week without a worry. And not only like sending out discounts or something like that, you can always be a bit more creative. Like for example, you can for not giving out the discount, you can just send like a buy now, pay later campaign, stuff like that, right? You don't always have to give out the discount for your campaigns.
Nice. And I know you've done some email marketing in the past. Like, what's been the biggest difference between SMS and email as like an agency? Is it like the fulfillment, the fact that like, the text are, how many characters can the text be?
160.
160. Whereas like the email, right? Like it could be way longer, right? Like what's the biggest difference as like an agency service provider in terms of selling email or fulfilling email and then SMS?
Yeah, you have to be way more precise, if that's the right word I'm looking for. Like, you know what I mean, right? You have to fit in all the content you want to send out in like 160 or 180 characters. With MMS, of course, you can have 1,600 characters. So that's another thing.
Got it. In terms of like just a text message versus like an MMS that has like a image or a GIF or something, what are you seeing converting better? Does it depend? Like, what are you seeing from your results?
We don't see actually a difference in MMS and SMS, to be honest, in terms of conversion rate.
They're pretty equal. You're saying they're pretty apples to apples?
Yeah.
Okay. So then in what cases do you use MMS? Because obviously it's a little bit more expensive.
For flash sales, for example, or sales in general, like we had a 4th of July campaign where we had like a GIF attached, whatever you want to call it, right? where the offer is clearly stated as well in the image.
Okay,
So
nice. And what's your thoughts on the order in which you collect an email versus phone number? Does it matter?
We usually go, when we want to do a two-step form, we go with email first and then SMS. Yeah.
Cool. That's what we see as well. I was curious because you're focused on what you see. And then, in terms of coming up with campaign and kind of content calendars, how much of that is on you as an agency versus your clients as the brand? Like, is that back and forth? Is it all you? Is it all them?
Once a month, we basically design the campaign calendar for our SMS clients, and then we get it out for approval to the brand owner or CMO or whatever, and then we're good to go. Yeah.
Nice. And then with what you're doing in Via or any platform in general, how are you tying that into the email platform, whether it's Klaviyo or Omnisend or Drip, to make sure that people aren't getting an email and a text at the same time?
We're using segments, right? So that's really all. Like, we segment it. Yeah.
Got it. So you could see who's on email versus who's on SMS. You're making sure they're not receiving the same. Cool. What else do you want to add or share? What else do you want to talk about on the SMS side?
Start with it. It's really good. It's really like, I think it's underutilized right now. More and more brands want to hop on, but it's still very underutilized in my opinion. Yeah.
Nice. I totally agree. And then a couple other questions I guess I have. I'm just going to rapid firing questions. What percentage of revenue typically is coming from SMS for your clients?
We don't see that actually on Via right now, how many percent exactly. But if I would take a guess, it's 20% plus as well.
20%? Oh, wow. Okay. And those are for brands that are also doing email. So if email is 20%, SMS 20%, so 40%, give or take, is coming from retention.
Yeah, that's exactly the case right now for one of our clients, for a jewelry client, which I told you about. Yeah.
Nice. And then in terms of some of like the flows or the automations on SMS, are there any that are different from email that like we wouldn't use on email that we would use on SMS? Or what are some of the more interesting SMS automations?
Well, I really like the upsell automation, like really with the tagging, like, hey, this guy or girl bought the necklace, let's upsell them this earrings and stuff like that. I really like that approach. I don't know how you are doing this exactly with email, but I think it's possible as well, right?
Cool.
Like
yeah, makes sense. And then two other questions that I'm thinking about that I have, and then if you have anything else, is on the SMS side, right? Like, do you have a sense of like what type of brands do really, really well with SMS? And are there any brands that you think probably aren't the right fit for SMS, or can anyone do SMS?
I think everyone can do SMS, but the more customer lifetime value you have, basically, and the more you can up and cross sell and stuff like that, the better, right?
Yeah, makes sense. And then the last question I have is like, are most of your clients on like short codes, long codes? Like, what's that setup look like?
We use short codes right now with Via, and that's basically all with Via, because we just use Via right now. We don't use any of these other platforms, so these are short codes. Yeah.
Cool. And then I guess the last question I have is, how would you recommend someone actually learn SMS marketing? Right? Is it following someone like yourself? Are there any good free resources? Are there good YouTube channels? Like, what's the best way for someone to learn SMS?
I think all the bigger platforms like Attentive and Postscript has really good tutorials and stuff like that. I think even Postscript offers like some kind of exam or something like that, which is pretty cool. And basically, yeah, just like from the platforms directly and learning by doing.
Cool. All right, man. Well, appreciate you being here. Best way for people to get in touch or kind of follow along and learn from you and kind of see your journey?
Just follow me on Instagram. It's at Matthias and on LinkedIn.
All right. I'll drop those handles, man. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. All right. Cheers.
Cheers.